Confessions of a Spanish Teacher, Part 10, Chapter 14, Drunken Spanish, Español Borracho. Carl and Mary are lovely people. So nice, so friendly. They would do anything for you, and they were keen to learn Spanish. We arranged classes, and I started going to their flat twice a week. The flat was only 6 months old, a new build from the building explosion here in Spain. I realised quite quickly, immediately in fact, that absolutely no cleaning had been done in that flat during those 6 months. I felt I had stepped into an episode of one of those extreme clean reality shows, or should I say extreme dirty reality shows. I am by no means Housewife of the Year material, as anyone who knows me will tell you. But there is untidy, and there is dirty, and then there is filthy. Excuse the mess, they said. We did have a cleaner, but she only came once for some reason, and now we can't seem to get hold of her. Poor woman. They had 2 dogs, beautiful dogs, but it was obvious that they were allowed to poo and wee in the flat, and it was not always cleared up immediately. The toilet was something else. I made the mistake of going the first day and spent the rest of the class trying not to gag while teaching the alphabet and pronunciation. From then on, I made sure that I never needed to go again while I was there. Carl and Mary, being so nice, were always offering tea and coffee, biscuits, even lunch. They must have wondered why I never lost weight while teaching them Spanish, because being on a diet was the only excuse I could come up with, as they tried to press these things on me. But the worst day came when I turned up at the flat one day at 11 a.m. for class as arranged, and they were not only clearly drunk, but it also seemed they had had an argument. I offered to return another day when they were more receptive, but Carl insisted that I carried on with the class as normal. So I was stuck there for an hour, trying to explain ser and estar to a very drunken, belligerent couple in a filthy house. Anyone who's tried to understand these 2 verbs will understand how difficult that is at the best of times. I still have these nightmarish flashbacks of being pinned down on the sofa between them as they glared at each other and breathed their beer and cigarette fumes all over me. Carl asked ridiculous questions with alcohol glazed eyes. I couldn't even escape to the loo because I was terrified what that would be like. Luckily, eventually, I managed to extricate myself and I never had to go back there again. It was mainly this experience and the next one that I'm going to relate that decided me to find some premises to teach rather than go to people's homes. Because in people's homes, you just never know what's going to happen. Chapter 15, Spanish in a thong. Not me. Español en una tanga. So another enduring traumatic memory I have is teaching Spanish in people's homes is thong gate. No, not me in a thong, you'll be glad to hear. God. Personally, I have always thought thongs were uncomfortable and hideous and don't look good on anyone unless they have a flawless body, especially men. Sorry, men. One day, I had the unfortunate experience of finding this to definitely be true. Thong in Spanish is tanga, and I was definitely tangad that day. Again, these names are false. Karen was a nice enough lady who I'd been teaching Spanish to for several weeks over the winter in her home. I had also had the dubious pleasure of taking her husband Billy to the hospital a couple of times as his interpreter. Interpreting is another source of interesting experiences I'll be looking at in this blog. I didn't like Billy much. He was arrogant and nasty, and to all accounts, he wasn't averse to laying hands on Karen when he'd had a drink. Alcohol is a problem in the expat community in Spain. It's cheap, the sun is normally shining, and most of us tend to drink more here than in the UK. As winter changed to spring, the temperatures increased, and I went around there one beautiful morning, and Karen suggested we should do the class on the patio as it was so nice. I agreed. And all was going well until about 15 minutes later, when Billy suddenly appeared and walked past us to go and lie by the pool. Guess what he was wearing? And a very small one at that. It left absolutely nothing to the imagination. At first I thought, poor guy, he will be mortified. He must not have realised that I'm here. After the 5th or 6th time he walked past, in just as many minutes, it suddenly dawned on me that it was possible he was wearing that thong because I was here. I looked beseechingly at Karen, but she totally ignored him and just concentrated on her worksheet. I was seated and trapped on a very small patio. I was at eye level with I was at eye level with Billy's budgie smugglers. Every time he walked past, and then I was regaled with a lovely back view as he went past to the pool. I wouldn't have liked it even if he was a Chippendale, but Billy wasn't a Chippendale. He was at least 65 years old, and he was thin, and I mean thin, almost emaciated, with the leathery brown skin you get if you sunbathe too much in Spain. From the from the back, his rear end looked like two conkers rubbing together. Thank God the class was only an hour long, because those last 45 minutes went very, very slowly. Billy pranced backwards and forwards and stopped to chat often directly in front of me. It was horrible. To this day, I cannot see a thong without a shudder going through me. I must add here that most people I've taught Spanish to in their homes have been lovely and very welcoming and have not worn thongs or been drunk. However, these bad experiences I did have, along with the fact I was getting busier and running out of time to drive from one student's house to another. So this meant I decided to find some premises to teach Spanish from. I didn't have to go through this again. That is where Charlie.com came in, and I will be talking about him soon. But the next couple of confessions will be from some notable experiences I had as an interpreter many years ago. Thank you. That's it for now. May your God always go with you. Please don't wear a thong. Bye.